She drops a bombshell of texts about not enjoying our relationship, then backs off from it. Hey Reddit. Sure, we had our ups and downs like any couple, but I always believed we were solid. That belief shattered last night when my girlfriend, Emma, sent me an avalanche of texts out of nowhere. It wasn't just a minor vent or a few complaints, it was a full breakdown of everything she supposedly disliked about our relationship. She said she felt suffocated. That things weren't the same anymore. That she wasn't happy and didn't know if she ever would be. She listed things I never even realized were problems. According to her, I wasn't affectionate enough, but at the same time, I was too clingy. I didn't make enough effort, yet I was too overbearing. It was contradiction after contradiction, but the message was clear: she was deeply unhappy. Reading those texts felt like getting punched in the gut over and over. I kept scrolling, hoping to see some kind of resolution at the end, something like, "But I still love you, and we can work on this." But that never came. Instead, her last message simply said, "I don't know what to do anymore." I sat there in silence, my heart pounding. If she truly felt this way, why hadn't she said anything before? Why drop it all at once like this? Was she working up the courage to break up with me? Because honestly, that's exactly what it sounded like. After staring at my phone for what felt like forever, I finally responded. I told her that if she was this unhappy, maybe we should break up. I wasn't being petty or dramatic, I genuinely didn't want her to stay in a relationship that made her miserable. The moment I sent that, everything flipped. Within minutes, she started backtracking. She said she didn't mean it the way it came across. That she was just venting. That she loved me and didn't actually want to break up. Suddenly, all those problems she listed? They weren't that big of a deal anymore. She said she was just frustrated and overwhelmed. That she wasn't thinking clearly. I felt like I had whiplash. How could she pour her heart out about how miserable she was and then completely dismiss it the second I took her seriously? I told her that if those things were bothering her, we needed to talk about them properly. But she kept insisting that she didn't mean it and just wanted to forget it happened. But how could I forget? How could I go back to normal, knowing that at some point, she sat down and typed all of that out, feeling every word? Even if she claimed she didn't mean it, a part of me couldn't help but wonder, was that the truth, or was she just afraid of actually losing me? The next day, we acted like nothing had happened. We still texted, still made plans to meet up. But it didn't feel right. I couldn't shake the feeling that I was standing on unstable ground, that at any moment, she might drop another bombshell and mean it this time. Days passed, and I tried to bring it up again. I asked her if she was sure she was happy with me, if she really didn't mean what she said. But she got defensive. She told me I was overthinking. That I should just trust her and move on. But that was the problem, I didn't know if I could. I started noticing little things I hadn't paid attention to before. The way she pulled away slightly when I held her hand. How she seemed distracted during our conversations. How sometimes, she wouldn't even respond to my texts for hours, when before, she'd always reply quickly. Maybe I was just being paranoid. Maybe I was looking for signs that weren't there. But deep down, I couldn't ignore the feeling that something had changed. One night, we went out for dinner, and for the first time in a while, things actually felt normal. She laughed, she teased me, she seemed present. For a moment, I let my guard down, thinking maybe I'd been overreacting. Then, out of nowhere, she said, "I really don't want you to bring up that night again. It was just a mistake." I froze. The way she said it, so dismissive, so final, made me realize something: I wasn't allowed to have feelings about it. She could unload all her emotions onto me, make me question everything, and then decide it never happened. But I had to just accept it. And that's when I knew. I couldn't do it. I couldn't be with someone who could shake the foundation of our relationship and then tell me to pretend it was fine. If she truly regretted what she said, we should have been working through it together, not ignoring it. That night, after I dropped her off, I texted her. I can't just pretend that night didn't happen. If you were unhappy enough to say all of that, even if you didn't mean it the way it came out, something isn't right. And I don't think we should ignore it. I think we need to be honest with ourselves. She didn't respond right away. Hours passed. Then, finally, she sent a short reply. "I don't want to do this right now." And that was the moment I realized, she never wanted to face it at all. So, I made the decision for both of us. Then maybe we shouldn't be together. This time, she didn't back off. She just said, "If that's how you feel." And maybe that was her way of telling me she felt the same way all along.